This is the
Sexist Podcast,
hosted by two exes
who know love, loss,
and everything in between.
Let's talk relationships where love gets messy,
Honest, and a little hilarious. Oh, welcome to another episode of The Sexes.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Here we are. At it again.
Yeah, so what are we talking about today?
Today, we are going to talk about where we get our idea of what a relationship should be like. Like, where do we learn about dating and marriage and relationship structures? Like, where did all that come from in our lives?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I can talk about, I'll go first a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like growing up Christian private schools, like monogamy is what was told to me. And I think a lot of people, especially in the States, where Christianity is still the number one religion, everyone grows up with the idea that monogamy is the preferred method to have a partner.
Yeah. I think there's certain criteria that comes along with that as well, right? Like, it is deeply rooted in abstinence culture, right? Like, growing up, like, you're not supposed to have sex until you get married.
Yeah.
So that's, like, very different than maybe how some other people were brought up to be in relationships, like not having sex until you're married, for example.
I mean, the irony is that everyone is having sex before marriage. You know, who doesn't have sex? In fact, you're like shamed, even if you grew up in a Christian household, I feel like you're like low-key shamed for not having sex before marriage.
You know, so I was of the mindset when I was a teenager that I was not going to have sex until marriage. I did other things, but I was like, there will be no P in the V until I get married, right? Like, I definitely thought that. I was like, I'm going to be, I'm going to save myself for marriage, yada, yada, yada.
Wait, sidebar before you finish that thought. In high school, there was, for some odd reason in my high school in California, there was like a big group of Mormon people that lived near the school. So there's lots of Mormon high schoolers going there. And all the girls would always, they'd go to the parties on the weekends and stuff. And, they're Mormon, they're Mormon. And they would never want to have sex, but they would do anal with everybody.
Okay. So let's talk about this for a second, because I was also going to bring up soaking. Because, that's, a thing that is, a Mormon thing. And sometimes other religions thing. You know what soaking is?
No.
Okay, so you just you would put your penis in the vagina, but not move. It's just soaking. So you're not having sex.
So the friction is what causes the sex?
Yeah, and then somebody will bounce the bed. And then it's still not having sex because you're not doing it. It's just soaking.
So you
and
get
I think anal is part of that too.
Just imagine someone has 8 dogs and okay guys, jump on the bed, and the bed is bouncing.
The religious loopholes for things are hilarious. So soaking is one of those. I saw a TikTok recently that was a Mormon getting a tattoo, and the person was just bouncing the tattoo chair so that the needle was going in, right? It's I'm not getting tattooed, it's soaking.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's religion to a T in a lot of ways, right? Finding the religious loopholes to make it, to justify whatever actions you're trying to do. I mean, there's all other topics related to justification, but my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, different cultures. In Muslim cultures, you're the man is allowed to take multiple wives.
Okay.
And that's not in all of them, because I definitely have talked to other people where they don't necessarily condone it. It feels like it's case by case basis.
Yeah.
But that's a thing, and it's kind of normalized. Where I remember talking to a girl when I was in Morocco, and she was like, "Yeah, my grandfather took another wife, and my grandmother wasn't so happy about it, but he wanted to, so he did."
Interesting.
And it's normalized. People do it. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. It just depends on how you were raised, I guess.
I think that's the thing, right? It's this is what's normal to certain groups of people. And what's normal to us may vary dramatically. So, polygamy, for example, taking on multiple wives, is a normal practice. I think Mormons do it too. Not all of them. Like there are, I think, I've watched some documentaries, so my knowledge is coming from a very low, keep this in mind, audience. It's coming from like a few documentaries and maybe some stuff I read about online. But like polygamy is like a thing for them too.
Yeah.
And it's quite normal.
Sister wives.
Sister wives. But yeah, there's whole shows, right? It's like, okay. So, yeah, so it's like where you grew up could vastly determine how you look at relationships and how they function. Like, you know, for example, people in some countries don't marry for love. They marry for status, or they have arranged marriages, right? Like their parents pick their spouses for them, and they don't even meet them until the day of the wedding.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends from India, and they are in arranged marriages. And that's normal in their culture. That's what they do.
It's a wild thing.
And like their parents had arranged marriages. And so it's like they had a happy life because of that, because they kind of removed the lustful looking at someone and focused on just the love that you can build, the connection you can build with somebody, rather than I just lust after this person.
I think that's an interesting statement, because oftentimes I think about this with like my friends, right? Like my friendships are the things that have endured longer than my romantic relationships, right? Is that because that component is removed, that romantic, sexual component? Once that's gone, it's like, or you're not focused on it, those relationships flourish longer.
They can, at least. I mean, that the baseline of it can. You really know if it's going to sink or swim.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about like arranged marriage in that way, where it's like, okay, well, I'm really looking at this from a different lens and a different viewpoint. I think I always thought that was like a crazy concept, but the older I get and the more experience I get in relationships, I'm like, maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You know, we're all grown up, we're all byproducts of our environment, right? So it's like, as we're children, whatever our parents told us was right or wrong is what we believe, because we look up to our parents. They are the authoritative figure in our life. And so you just don't even think about the idea that they're saying something wrong. And so as you get older, I think a lot of times we just default to what our parents told us to do. So it's like monogamy is what, you know, they said I should do, regardless of them being divorced 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, regardless of seeing your friends getting divorced a few times. You still believe that it's the right way to do it because that's what your parents told you to do. And I think it takes a lot of courage to break free of that mindset of, well, I need to challenge what my parents said. I'm my own person. I'm an adult. I have my own opinions on life. Did what they say mean anything to me? Like, is there truth behind it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's that you get to a point, you know, when you're a kid, like you just believe your parents and you go along with everything. And that's not to say that our parents were trying to deceive us or teach us incorrectly. A lot of it comes from culture and how they were raised and what they believe to be true. So they're doing the best of their ability to impart that on their children. But then you get to a point where you're like, okay, is this what I want? Like, is this the right way? Or is there a different way for me to go?
Because look, I mean, they're like, you'll take advice from your parents who have been divorced 2 or 3 times, and they'll say, no, you got to go find somebody and marry them. But it's like, oh, I'm taking advice from someone who has failed multiple times in monogamy, if you want to even call it that, like serial dating, serial marriages. And yet you're still telling me that this is the right way to do it. I don't know. I don't know. Like, am I delusional at this point?
Yeah.
Or should I go try to find something that fits me as my own person, as my own individual in this world, find what relationship structure works for me, whether it be poly or open or, you know, not any kind of non-monogamy structure. And that's not to say monogamy isn't the right way for you too, right? Like, I don't want to always sound like we're talking shit on monogamy. I think monogamy is beautiful, and I think it can work for anybody who puts in the effort. But I also think that there's other ways outside of the framework that we were told as children that can work for you.
Yeah. And it's all about figuring that out for yourself. You know, if you take it back to its basic point, it's like we are a product of our environment and the people we spend the most time with, right? Like, our parents are that, our friends are that when we're growing up. And as we branch out and we learn more about the world around us and we travel, I think travel has a significant impact on whether or not you go outside your own bubble. Because for the first time, at least for me, when I started to travel and like, you know, I met you in Paris years and years ago, seeing that the world is so different than just my hometown.
It was like 2017, I think.
Yeah, like 2016, 2017. Yeah. It just came up in my Facebook memories recently. It was like, you were in Paris. I was like, oh my gosh. Was that 9 years ago? 9 years? Like, but that was the first time I traveled internationally. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
You know, and then experiencing a couple years later, you know, we went to a variety of other places and just seeing how different even just sex is talked about, like so vastly different than how I grew up, because I also grew up religious, right? Like I grew up in the church. I was Christian. We went to church every Sunday. As a teenager, like I was in youth group and I was in the church band and one of the leaders and yada, yada, yada. Like I was in it. And the way that people talked about sex was very like tight-lipped. Like nobody really talked about it. I literally was just like sharing this story recently about how I didn't know how to use tampons because like nobody really taught me. And like our education system doesn't really teach you those types of things either. What they teach you is abstinence. And if you do have sex, you're going to get pregnant or get STDs.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. So, like, hearing people talk so cavalier and, like, normalizing sex and relationship to sex was, like, mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
In traveling in other countries. As if it's, like, having lunch with somebody. Eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember one of my buddies, he was traveling around Switzerland, and he met this girl out in a bar, and she was Swiss. And they were having a good time, and I think they had sex like the night before. And then he goes out with her again. And then she had to go home early in the night because she had to work in the morning or something. And she's like, hey, listen, I know like you were expecting kind of a hookup situation or whatever, but I got to go home. Like I got an early morning, but my friend's coming out tonight, and she would love to hook up with you. And so she just pawned off her sex to her best friend.
Wow. Wow. Here. Yeah, but like, you might enjoy her.
You don't really see that happening in the States ever.
Yeah. That's not as popular.
And that could
perhaps.
be, obviously that could just be that girl, right? She could just be that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean like that was she was a product of her environment, and that's how all Swiss people are, or Europeans in general.
Sure.
But it's thought provoking. Is that something?
It is. I think my first like foray into non-monogamy was just how different people talked about things, right? Like when I was married, I would never have talked to my partner about certain things about the bedroom, for example. I'm married to them, but I can't bring up like what I'd like to try in the bedroom because I'm afraid it's going to hurt their feelings, or like you just didn't have the tools to be able to talk about those things. It was just kind of like, let the man lead the sex life, and that's it.
Yeah, you're submissive, he's dominant.
Yeah.
And he kind of controls. I mean, it was a whole fucked up situation anyways, your marriage. But
yeah, my marriage was abusive, so it's not a great example, but...
Yeah. But it does... There are a lot of women out there that submissive to them is really allowing the man to do whatever in the bedroom. Like they have to initiate. They're just there when he's ready. Yeah.
It's more of a chore than it is like an experience or something shared between two people. Now, that's not everybody, obviously. Like people have a variety of different sex lives, but I've talked to a lot of women over the years who have been with their partners for a very long time, married, and they are afraid to bring up stuff about bedroom things, and that's their person. That's the only person they're ever going to be with, right?
Yeah.
Like they're married. That's it. You got to be able to have these conversations. So what was helpful in talking to people who are non-monogamous and people in other countries is like it was just so much easier to talk about these things with no judgment either.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
eye-opening, because I didn't get that sense in any of the churches that I belonged to, or youth groups and friend groups that I were in at the time. Like, there was no way we would talk about that stuff.
Yeah. I also like to think of, Disney movies. I think kind of fucked everyone up too, right? Like as children, that's when we're the most impressionable as young people, and so we're growing up watching these Disney movies, and it's always the white knight coming in to save a woman or a girl, and then they run off into the sunset or run off to the castle,
Yep.
and they have this magical experience. It leaves it untold. So you think they go off to the castle and have a magical experience. In reality, he's off fucking one of the maids on the side, and she can't wait for him to get killed or like fall off his horse and die. Like, that's the reality, like, over the next 20 years of him saving her.
Yeah, we never got to see the rest of the story. We got to see the honeymoon phase at its peak, right? This man comes and saves me, but what is he actually saving you from?
Right.
Like, the current circumstance, okay. But I think, like, in relationships, I did really, truly believe that a man was going to save me. Like, if I just found the right man, then everything would be okay. So in my 20s, that was my endeavor. Like, my teens and 20s was like, find the man who saves me.
And that's what our parents would tell us. For men, it's like, you got to go find the one. And I feel like for women, it's like, you got to wait for him, which to me is just, it sounds a little crazy.
It is crazy. It's not real. Like, if we truly just waited, and women make jokes about this all the time, that they're like, I don't go out, I don't use dating apps, I don't do anything, I'm just waiting for the man to, like, walk through my door. Like, that's never gonna happen. But that's the expectation that Disney movies, for example, set for us. It's like, he'll just find you.
Yeah, the only way he's going to find you is if you leave your door open and you just ordered Uber Eats and he comes into your door and then you kidnap him. That might be the way you find your man. So girls out there that never leave your house, just leave your door open for Uber Eats. Take a chance.
This could be the one. This could be it. That's how they found each other.
If you're okay with minimum wage and a guy that delivers food, you're set for life.
I mean, listen, I have definitely dated an Uber driver or two in my life, so...
No shame. No shame.
Sometimes they're cute. What can I say? It's,
But have you opened the door and said, listen, put that food down and let me get a bite?
That sounds like the beginning of a porn that I've watched. Does that happen in real life? I would love if someone would write in and tell us a story of that exact thing happening, or like something similar. Like you always hear the story of like the pizza guy come in and you're like, I want more than pizza. Just like, I want to hear this story. So if any of our listeners has a story of this nature, please go to our website and submit it.
I knew someone that had this happen.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear the story.
I only know like bits and pieces, but the general story was, I don't know what I think it was Uber Eats or DoorDash or something like that, but he was delivering it, and it was an older woman, like much older than him. Like he was 25 and she was probably like 50, 55. And she's just in a robe. She opens the door in a robe. And apparently she was attractive, and he just was a little caught off guard because obviously she's in a robe and nothing else. And so he's like, smiling, like, here's your food. And she just looks at him like, you want to come? I mean, it's directly like a porn, basically. She's just like, do you want to come in? And so they chit-chatted outside for a second, and he came in, and they had sex.
Oh. Okay, did he have any other orders that he was supposed to deliver?
No. It was just the one at the time.
That's where my brain goes. I'm like, whose food is getting cold because this guy's getting off? But, oh my God.
I mean, when you ever see on the map it stops that guy, and if he stops for a little bit too long, now you know what's happening. He's not getting gas or anything. He wasn't picking up another delivery. No, he was delivering something else.
Man, that's top tier. That's like, I've not experienced anything like that in my life, but
no, I used to deliver pizza back in the day for Papa John's, and
Papa John's.
I never had. I wish. I mean, I delivered some food to like some frat houses, but nothing ever happened. Nothing fun. No stories.
Damn. I mean, in high school, I had this crush on this boy, and he worked at Papa John's. And so I would order pizza because I knew he was going to deliver it. But,
That's fun.
you know, I was like the abstinence queen, so I did not have sex with him. I think I did make out with him once when he delivered pizza, but...
Ooh.
Yeah, but that doesn't really count because, like, I knew him from school, and I knew he was coming. Like, oh, man.
So, getting back on topic. We're all products of our environment growing up.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to challenge people out there to think a little bit differently. And if you're in a relationship with someone that let's just say it's monogamy, to start to communicate a little bit more with your partner. That's always the biggest thing, right? Like, is communication. Yeah. So the thing about if you're just in monogamy and you're only with one partner is that you might have feelings of wanting to explore other things, whether it be other people or other types of sexual activities that your partner is going to be like, WTF, which is okay. It should be weird and kinky and crazy. I mean, that's what it's all about. But if you don't communicate with your partner, you're never going to know, and you're always going to have that itch that's never been scratched.
Yeah. And
then that can fester and then like have a slippery slope down to like divorce or breaking up, because really you're just continue to hide things and you're not communicate them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm always a big proponent of having a slut phase before you settle down and get married and all of that stuff, because you got to learn. You need to learn what you want, right? Like, you're taught certain things a certain way your whole life, and then you go out into the dating world and maybe those things don't fit for you. Like, you keep dating and you keep finding that guy or girl that ticks those boxes, and yet it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why? Why isn't it working? Like, for me, I just like followed the mold for so many years that like I didn't even know what I wanted. No idea. Like,
I felt like when you and I dated, it was like that a little bit.
100% it was like that.
You didn't know, you hadn't become your person yet.
Yeah. Because, you know, I was coming out of a marriage where I was told what to do and what not to do constantly and abused. So, like, I had no identity in that relationship. And then when I got into ours, you gave me freedom. You were like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, like... And
then it kind of just defaulted to, like, whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah, what do you want to do? Let's do that thing, you know? And so then you just don't develop. You know, I think you tried to foster an environment where, like, I could. You gave me plenty of space to do it. You gave me finances to be able to do it. You gave me opportunity. And you were always pushing me to, like, figure out what I wanted. But I couldn't seem to get there. Because I was just like, well, I just want everybody to be happy and have a good time.
Yeah. I mean...
And I was having a good time, too. Let's not, like, diminish any of that. I had a great time in our relationship, a lot.
But also, you didn't have an opportunity to get out of the trauma from your past relationship. I was a bridge from that past relationship that was toxic and abusive into a healthy relationship. But there was still a lot of that trauma that needed to be figured out through counseling and therapy and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So none of that was healed. So just went into preservation mode.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I think my intentions were good in what I was trying to do, you know, like I was trying to be a good partner and supportive, but I also wasn't doing the work that was necessary to be able to show up in a way that was authentic, you know, like I was drinking heavily. And when I would
drinking a lot.
I mean, we both drank a lot, but like I would take it to a dark place at a certain point. Like I'd hit a certain point and then I would just be like a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of that had to do with just not dealing with anything. I wasn't going to therapy. I don't think I started going to therapy until like the end of our relationship. And by then we were like already 1 foot out and, you know, so it was like, I didn't have those skills. I didn't have an identity. I just wanted people around me to be happy and feel good. And that made me feel good for a long time, but it's not sustainable.
And you did all the right things as far as what your parents told you to do, which is, find a guy, get married, like a guy that was in the church, in quotes, in hindsight, right? And, be faithful and listen to the man. And it turned out really toxic. So that advice, while the genesis of it was because they want the best intentions for you, your parents, like it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't put all the blame on them either, right? Like,
No.
I think in getting married to the person that I did, like, I knew that was not going to work. But because I had had sex with him, I needed to marry him. I needed to make it right in the eyes of God. And so I had to get married. Like, I was living in sin.
He was the first person you had sex with? Yeah.
Yeah. I had to. I had to make it right because I was a sinner and I was doing all the bad things. And, so I got married, and what a sham. But,
yeah.
You try to do those things, and then I just continue to try to do that. I'm like, okay, well, my marriage failed, so now I need to find the next man who's better for me and is acceptable and can save me. Absolutely. Cue Lex, who walks into my life, and I'm like, this one can save me. And in a lot of ways, you transformed my life in ways that, like, I am so grateful for, right? Like, you transformed how I view men in general. Like, men can be kind, and men can support you and want you to have your own life. And that was not something I had experienced prior to that. And that's huge. That set the bar for every man that came after you, is like, only date men that want you to have your own life, because that controlling shit, like, that doesn't fly. No. That's not good for anybody.
No,
but
it's a ticking time bomb, right? Like,
yeah.
Eventually it's going to explode, and it could implode also. Like,
yeah,
it always seems to be the same way with people.
Yeah. But, like, again, I tried to do what I learned, and what I learned was monogamy and religion and guilt about sex. Like, I can't even, it took so many years to undo the sex guilt that religion put into me. Like, there's still, I'll get, like, little glimmers of it. I don't know if you experience this as well, but, like, for a long time I would get, like, little pangs of guilt.
For having sex?
For having sex outside of marriage, or, like, even enjoying it.
Yeah.
Or, like, liking the type of sex that I do like, or even being queer. Like, all of that has taken years and years to undo what I learned and what I thought to be the only correct way to live life, which is wild to think about.
If you're brave enough, you can really work on unpacking all the stuff that you learned as a child. And then you can start to make the decision, is this relationship structure right for you? Is the types of relationships I've been getting into right for me? Is the sexual partners that I'm having, are they aligned with who I am now?
Is this what I want? That's the biggest thing. It's like, is this even what I want? Do I want to get married? Do I want to have children? Do I want to have the white picket fence that, were sold as kids in America? Like, that's the thing. Like, you grow up, you find somebody, then everybody asks you, when are you getting married? And then you get married, and then everybody asks you, when are you going to have a baby? And then you have a baby, and they go, when are you going to have another baby?
Yeah.
And you get defined by these things. And if you don't have these things, then you're less than. Yeah, you're like, you're the crazy aunt. Or you're the spinster, like...
Or you must be damaged because you don't have these things.
Something's wrong with you. Why you couldn't find a man? What? And then we get defined by that. I think this is less of a thing, more so now than ever, but it's still there, societally.
I mean, look at some of our friends in our 20s and stuff. I mean, there'd been plenty of times when situations would happen and people got married, and we hear people coming to us like, oh my gosh, I wish my wife would be like she was when we first married. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I don't want to do this. And And it's like, yeah, maybe you should have thought about it a little bit more rather than just, following what everyone else is doing.
The decisions, I'm always baffled by how cavalier some people are about making these important life decisions about their relationship. Your relationship or relationships are so vital in how you function in the rest of your life, because you're going to spend so much time. There was like this really cool graph that I was watching that was like, you spend all of your time with like your parents, and then you watch that diminish as you get older, and then like your friend group goes up, and then that sort of diminishes. But your partner is the thing that, like, once you have that, is the thing that goes up on the chart of the amount of time you spend with somebody. And I can't imagine picking the wrong person and then just staying with that wrong person for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
That's your whole life.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And all because you didn't initially think about it.
Yeah, I always like to say it's like taking all the money that you have and investing into one company and hoping over the next 50 years you're going to see a return on that investment. And like down to your last cent investing into this company that you try to get as much information on prior to investing. But you don't know how that company is going to change management over the years. You don't know if they're going to stop selling the product that made them famous.
Yeah.
You don't know anything over the next 50 years. So it's a really big gamble. It's an investment. And same with your relationship. You don't know. You're going to get married to somebody in your early 20s. You don't know what that person's going to look like in 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
They may change drastically. And you just got to hope that you guys are changing at the same pace each decade, and you can continue to fall in love with that person every decade over and over again. I mean, that's the best case scenario, because change is happening always. It'll always happen. We're influenced by the people that we listen to, social media, the books that we read, work. And so every decade, there's massive change that happens. So you just got to hope that your partner, if that's the bet that you want to make on monogamy, is that that you guys change on the same pace, or at least a change that you can continuously fall in love with that person.
Yeah. And what a big ask that is. Decade over decade. Like, I think even if I look at myself 10 years ago, that's not the same person. So how would my relationships, if I still had them from then to now, like, I'm different. Yeah. And I'm sure they would be different.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
what I was told once, and I always liked it, is the idea of falling in love with, because they say every decade you change, and kind of like every decade you shed the skin of those relationships and friendships from that decade, and then you move into, like, my friends in my 20s I don't really talk to anymore, and it's not because we're not friends anymore, we're at different paces in life. Same with my 30s, and now into my early 40s, I just have different sets of friends. And so when you're in a relationship with your partner, in a monogamous relationship, you just have to hope that you can continually fall in love with them every decade.
Yeah. And I've seen people do it. I've seen, like,
100%.
I've seen plenty of successful marriages, so I'm definitely not discounting it. I think it's incredible. And I always ask. So this is a question I always ask people that have been married a long time. I say, how do you do it?
Yeah. And
my favorite answer, this couple had to be in their 70s or 80s. Like, they've been married their entire lives. And I asked them, how have you stayed together? And that old man looked at me and he said, you gotta fuck her properly. And I will never forget that. You gotta fuck her properly. And then she just looked up at him and she was like, and they left. That was it. That was their advice.
I mean,
she looked happy. He looked happy. And I was like, okay, fuck her properly.
Funny enough, that was his mistress that was with him that night.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. Well, they talk about, like, in retirement homes and stuff, like, there's a high rate of STDs because they be getting the blue pill and just making the rounds.
Yeah, I knew a girl that worked at the front desk at one. She said all the night she just heard little socks scurrying through the hallways because everyone's just fucking everybody at night at these senior living houses.
I mean, get some, what's
God
left?
Bless.
Yeah,
any day could be the last, so might as well.
If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out that way.
Exactly.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
So,
yes.
I think it's funny that we always like to think that whatever we learned as children is the right way. Because as we talked about in the beginning of this pod, there are so many different types of relationship structures in the world, and that's normal, and they feel like that's right for them too. And so I like the idea of having people challenge what they believe is right, because who's to say people in India don't have it right with arranged marriages? Who's to say Mormons don't have it right with polygamy? There's all these different, who's to say polyamory or open relationships aren't right for you? Like, challenge the way you were brought up, because maybe it wasn't right, because your parents were just giving you advice from their parents, you know? Yeah. And I think a lot of people like to romanticize kind of the golden age, which is like the 40s and 50s. Like everyone's grandparents were these amazing, you know, they went to World War II, and then everyone was just super faithful, and I think a lot of people like to think that it was better than it was.
Yeah.
I think that was a time when women were shunned for divorce. Like if you were going to get a divorce, it was something you did wrong in the relationship.
Right.
And so they're like, you know, grandma and grandpa stayed together for 60 years, 70 years. It's like, well, what if grandpa cheated on her excessively over 40 years, but she never wanted to leave because she didn't want to have a black mark on her?
Maybe she couldn't leave. Maybe she never had a job.
Yeah.
Right? What was she going to do? Yeah. What, was she going to work? No. Because maybe she didn't even finish high school. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't even have an education. She has no work experience. She has no income of her own. Where was she going to go? What were her options, you know?
And, you know, we were just looking up this statistic, but 70% of marriages or divorces are initiated by women. And
I think that's so interesting.
And that makes a lot of sense when you think about women from the earlier decade of the 40s and 50s and 60s, when they didn't have jobs, and a lot of women were stay-at-home moms. And so it was hard for them to leave.
Well, we couldn't even have credit cards or have a mortgage in our own name without a man signing off on it. Mm-hmm. Which is wild to think about, but that wasn't that long ago. It was like 70s or 80s, I think. Yeah. So there was just different restrictions. And now that those have lifted, well.
Yeah. So the next time you think about like your grandparents and romanticizing them, I guarantee you don't know the whole picture, because like most relationships, you don't know everything that went on in that relationship. I mean, I've heard wild things from people from like deathbed. Grandparents admitted things that were wild, like cheating and having a second wife and just crazy things. And you thought your grandparents were this pristine, you know, white picket fence, the American dream type of monogamy family. And it was far from it. So you just don't know. So that's why I keep saying, like, challenge what you believe as far as what's right, and make it what's right for you. Yeah.
I think that's the thing, right? Is like, and you might find that how you grew up is exactly how you want to continue your life. 100%. And that's totally valid. It's totally valid. But I think it's that exploration process is when you sit down and you really start to think like, I want to date with intention. I want to find my person or persons, like really getting clear on where those ideas come from and do they align with like what you want. And learn, expand, grow, talk to people that are different from you and get outside, you know, ways of living and just keep your eyes open to what the possibilities are out there. Because I think even as a 30-year-old moving out to Hollywood, like I didn't even know polyamory was a thing. Had never heard of it before then. No clue. So 30 years of my life, never knew. I heard of polygamy, but that sounded terrible. Mm-hmm. I'm going to share my husband with somebody. No way. Yeah, right. I don't even like women that much. You know, like my whole perception was totally different then. So it's keeping yourself open to life as it comes at you and figuring that out as you go, instead of just being like, this is the small box that like I'm gonna live in, because this is the region I was born in, this is the religion I follow, and
This is what society tells me.
yeah, this
My
is what all the
parents tell me.
movies and TV shows, this is what a relationship looks like. But I think even our media is starting to challenge that more and more now, where we see more queer people in the public eye. Shit, even years and years ago, we didn't even see black people on TV. You know, it was just showing very structured, like I Love Lucy. They didn't even have them in the same beds. They had to have separate beds. So generationally, we are changing, and the ways we're looking at things and what we're learning and what we have access to with the internet and social media is, there's a big world out there. Big world out there with all kinds of information and things to learn and understand. So like challenging how you grew up, I think is a valuable endeavor, because then you could be sure.
Yeah.
Then you could be sure, like, yeah, I challenged it. I looked at the other side, and this is what I want for myself. I'm confident in that.
Yeah, not just doing what your parents told you to do, you know,
Yeah.
or what your friends are doing or family is doing. You're doing it for you, because at the end of the day, you lose friendships and family dies, and you're left with you and your decisions. So it's like, do it for you. Don't
Yeah.
just jump into that marriage because that's what you're told to do, unless it feels right. And like, again, I don't want to poo-poo monogamy. I think monogamy is great, and I did monogamy up until I was like 31, and I would still do monogamy. It's not outside the range of possibilities for me as well. I always say I don't believe in a relationship structure. I believe in all relationship structures. It just depends on my partner and what we both want,
Yeah.
what we're both okay with. And sometimes that also can lead into, like, you know, maybe we go through seasons of change. Maybe we started off with monogamy and then we end up poly, and then that turns into open, and then a baby is involved and we need to go back to monogamy because it's just easier, right?
Yeah.
But that's where communication is just so important in your relationships. Don't be scared to talk to your partner or talk to your lovers or talk to people that you're starting to date, because what you lose is time. You don't want to lose time. That's the only thing. I used to tell people, like, I can always make more money, but I can't make more time. And so time is a real asset that we lose every day. So don't stick in these relationships, these friendships, these lovers that you are unsure about, because time will just continue to go by, and you hear it all the time where people wasted decades of their life before they got happy again. And why do you need to wait? Don't suffer in silence. Communicate it and then get out of it.
Yeah.
Or better yet, like if you're younger and listening to this, start challenging everything now, so you don't jump into relationships like you did, you know, where you were in a marriage that, you know, wasted years of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I got out of it, the first thing I said was, man, I wish I would have got out of it sooner. I wasted 10 years of my life. I can't get those 10 years back, you know? And then however many other years of my life that I've spent healing and deconstructing all of that and therapy and all the other stuff, right? Like, you can't get that back. And I talk to women all the time who, man, they wish they would have, like, done the work before they got married. They wish they would have questioned this stuff. They wish they would have learned more about themselves. Like, you know, sometimes you find yourself in a vanilla relationship and you're a kinky person, and it's just never going to work, or you crave novelty, and monogamy is just never going to tick that box for you. But you don't know that you crave novelty. You just know that something's off, and then you just feel guilty about it.
Yeah. I remember this girl in my 20s, and she always had a boyfriend, and they were together for like 5 years, but he treated her really bad. I think there was definitely verbal abuse, and we all assumed that there was probably some physical abuse too. And there was times where she'd leave the relationship, and like about 2 or 3 weeks later, she'd get back with him, and that cycle would continue over the course of like 6 or 7 years. And I remember confronting her one drunken night out, and I was like, "Why do you keep going back to him?" And she's like, "Well, I've invested like 5 years already. I just don't want to lose out on that." And it just, even at that time, when I wasn't so open-minded to different types of relationship structures, even at that time, I thought that was such a mind-blowing response, that you've invested so much time on something that is horrible, and you don't want to make it feel like you've taken all that time for granted.
this idea of like sunken cost, right? Like if you do
Yeah.
that in business too, like your business can be absolutely failing and you just keep dumping more into it for a business that's failing. Like that doesn't make any fiscal sense in the same way that you're just dumping emotional currency into a relationship that's never, like, they're not going to change. So what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, people don't change. It takes a lot of effort, and a lot of people are lazy.
Well, and loving the idea of a person is so much more attractive than actually loving the person that they are.
Yeah.
In those scenarios, usually you're falling in love with an idea of a person that doesn't exist. You fall in love with potential. You're like,
Yeah.
they can get there, they can do this, and they never get there. You can stay with them for 20 years and they're never going to get there because you don't actually love them, you love their potential or what you thought their potential was, and that person doesn't even actually exist.
I've been there. That was more even recent relationships. And I see the best in people, and that can be difficult sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And then
You always-
you sink time into them and you're like, well, we've been together for like a couple years. Like, I think they're like almost there. And it's always that feeling of like, if they just did this, then they never get there.
And they'll give you some crumbs, right? They'll give you
Oh,
enough
yeah.
crumbs to keep you there. Like, okay, I see this is the start of something. There's change happening, but it's nothing impactful, nothing that really resonates with you. It's just enough for them to keep you there.
Yeah. Yeah. And whether they're doing it strategically or not doesn't even matter. You know, it's just like you just keep holding on to it and you're like, but we've been together for so long, and that sunken cost idea is so hard to let go of for so many people that they're like, well, we've been together for 10 years. How am I going to just throw away this marriage or this relationship? It's like, well, because it's not serving you.
Yeah.
You ever been lonely inside of a relationship? Oh, boy, that's the worst lonely.
Yeah.
To like have your person laying in bed next to you and you just feel alone? Ugh. I hope I never experience that ever again. And the people that have, like, when they leave it, they're like, I can't believe I wasted so much time.
Yeah.
Don't be that person. Just
That person.
don't do it. Don't do it.
So I think the moral of this pod is get out there and challenge. Challenge what you think is the correct way to have a relationship.
And it's going to be uncomfortable. This challenge is going to be uncomfortable because it's going to challenge everything that you thought you knew.
Yeah, from what your parents said, what Disney movies have told you, what your friends tell you is right and wrong, what media and social media talk about, you know. But is it right for you? Is it really right for you for long term?
Yeah, that's our challenge. That's our takeaway is look at what has influenced what you believe about relationships and what you believe about like marriage and where you want to head in life. Challenge it. Really, really look at it. If you're young, you probably are at a point where like this is happening naturally for you. Like you're going off to college and you're meeting new people and that's all exciting and you're starting to learn new things and this will be easier for you. For those of us who are a bit older, challenging ideas that we've lived with in our bodies and our minds our entire life, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough and it's going to be weird and you're going to have to step outside your box, but you will have that knowledge and certainty that like this is truly what I want. And some of that's going to be trial and error. So be ready.
Allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
There's
Put
a book
yourself out there.
I always recommend it. It's called Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, and it's all about being vulnerable in lots of different ways and contexts. It's a good book to read if you're a little nervous about trying to figure out what's right for you, because being vulnerable allows you to open up your mind and your heart to different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
do that. Do those
download it.
things. Yeah. Download it. Listen to it. Audiobook, however you digest content. If you're listening to podcasts, you probably like audiobooks. So pick that up. We are not affiliated with Brené Brown, but we do make recommendations on things we like, and we don't need any credit for it. It's a good book, so read it.
yeah.
All right. That's our
Okay.
challenge, you know? Sometimes you learn something today, challenge. And if you have challenged and you want to share that story with us, submit it on the website. We'd love to read about it.
Yeah, or just anything about this topic too. You know, if you want to get some questions answered or just dive deeper, send it in.
Send it in.
We'll do our best to respond to everybody.
Yep. You can add anonymity to it as well, so people won't know it's you. I mean, just maybe don't get too specific on things. But we'll do our best to keep your identity anonymous and share your story.
All right, guys. That's
awesome.
The pod.
That's it. Another one.
All right.
We'll talk to y'all soon.
Ciao.
That's it for today's episode. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening, and follow us on socials for more real talk off the mic. You can also visit us online at thesexistpodcast.com to submit your stories and questions. Keep exploring love, dating, and everything in between.